Hey, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to see how to fix our collision issue when we shoot the enemy and it's not doing any damage. So we're gonna fix that little problem. And I know in the previous video I was playing very quickly with the collision setting, but I didn't really explain why it's worked the way it's worked. So we're gonna go through that today. So we're gonna have a little bit better understanding on how we can play with collision to achieve different things. So when we do our new game, here you can see that when we pick up the weapon, our bullet is going through the enemy and it's not doing any damage. So to fix that, it's simple. So first we're going to go to our enemy base. And here you see we have the capsule component, which has some collision setting in the detail panel. If you search for collision, there's some collision setting here. We have also the box collision that has some setting, the one that we're currently using to do damage to our enemy. We also have the static mesh and we also have the character mesh. Okay, so we're going to go through that first. The capsule component is usually the one that we use. However, when I did that project, I decided to use a box collision because we're using a cube. But if you were using a character, you can do all the same code that we did in box. You could just select the capsule component instead. So if we go to the detail panel here, you can see that we have some setting under the collision. Okay, so if we go to the preset here, we have different preset that the engine is giving. We can create our own preset if we want or need more. And we have the collision enable here, which you can decide if it's going to no collision, query only, physics, or all that jazz. So you can select what you need here. But what we're interested in for this project is the object type here, the pound. So this enemy, it's an object type pound. Okay, so you could change that object type to anything there. Okay, so when you use something that need to use collision, because this type is an object under pound, it's mean that when we're going to select in your overlap or block, if we move the checkbox between pound here, so next to pound, for one of those three settings, it's going to affect only the pound, not anything else. So the wall static is your floor and your wall. So if you were doing ignore on it, technically your enemy shall go through the floor and fall down, as you can see there. Okay, so the floor use the static, as I said. Okay, so we don't want our enemy obviously to go through the floor, so we want our enemy to be blocked. So we're going to make sure that it's blocked, so that way when we do play, the enemy is remaining on the floor. Okay, it's a little bit how that works. So for the projectile itself, the projectile is right here. So if we go on our first person projectile, we have our ball here, collision component here, and you can see the preset for this, not the preset, but the object type is a projectile. Okay, so if we were changing this, it will change the way we handle things. So because it's a projectile, we use projectile. So when we go to our enemy here, you can see that the projectile is on ignore, which means that it's going through our enemy. So it's not going to do anything. We want our enemy to be able to receive damage, to be hit by that projectile. So what we're going to do, we're going to put block here. Okay. However, you need to pay attention that we are using the box collision here to do our code to get damage. Okay, the capsule component, we don't use it. Okay, so even if we were doing that, if we were shooting here, it would be blocked, but here it's gonna go and get blocked on the capsule component, but not on the cube. So technically, if I do play, the enemy shall receive absolutely no damage. You see, the ball is blocking on it, so no damage at all. So as I just said, the box collision, it's where we have our code to handle the damage for our enemy. So we need to make sure that the box collision here on ignore for the projectile, we are switching that to block. Okay, so if we do compile now and we try it, now it should touch the enemy and destroy the enemy. You see? So it is very as simple as this. So when you have an issue sometime in your game, could be, you know, collision issue. Usually it's collision because you play with collision, but what I mean, you have different issue that you can have. So in this case is the projectile doesn't do any damage to our enemy. Just by changing this setting, we fix that issue. Okay, so we always need to pay attention that depending on how you build your game, you have different setting. And you can see here for the static mesh, there is no collision. So all those settings are not working because the collision enable is on no collision. And for mesh, we don't have a mesh character, so we don't have a skeleton mesh. So here, the preset is on no collision because we don't use anything. If we were using a skeleton mesh, we will play in this one. Okay, so you need to be aware of how a little bit this works. So if we go to our player, same thing apply. We're going to go to our player here, and we have the capsule component. Here you can see that the object type is also a pound, which means that we can change their setting according to pound. So if we were putting pound here and do ignore and do play, technically I should be able to go through the enemies. So let's see that. So you can see now I'm going through the enemies. Okay, we don't want that. We want that when we touch an enemy, we're blocked. So by moving that to block, now when we go towards an enemy, we won't be able to go through the enemy. We are totally blocked. Okay, so it's a little bit how that works. So another setting here, the projectile, we want to make sure that when we shoot, we're not touching ourselves. So it's important to, on the projectile, to have ignore. And you can see here, there's the mesh as well, but we're not using anything for the mesh. So what I did, basically, I just remove and put no collision. Okay, same thing for the static mesh. We're not using it to do anything, so it's at no collision as well. Okay, so that's a little bit how all that thing works. So now our issue for shooting the enemy is resolved. So I will catch you on the next one. Hey, welcome back. Today we're just going to fix a little collision issue for our camera. So the camera is clipping through those blue cubes here. So we're going to fix that. But first we're going to show you. So first, if you go there and you can see that the camera is getting blocked by those cubes. And if I go to the one here, it's doing exactly the same thing. But when I go to the black one here, it's not doing it. So to resolve that, it's quite simple. So as you remember back in the day for the cube itself, we went to the setting here. We go to a collision, so we can search for it. And we told to ignore the camera. So we're going to repeat the same process for the blue cube as we have here. So I put camera to ignore. And when we are playing, it still do that issue, and you're wondering why that, you know, the floor and the walls are not causing that issue, but we do have that issue with the blue cube, even if we told the game to remove the visibility. So I need not the visibility, but to ignore the visibility for the camera, because the camera itself use the channel visibility. So it's why we're using that setting. So if we go back and just take a look, so we can see at the same time. Wait a sec. Collision here. So we have the camera, and the channel that it's used is camera, not visibility, but camera. So if we go to our cube here, so we see we have camera, which should technically ignore that camera, but for X reason, it's not doing it. So we're going to go for the camera, just make sure that we have the same thing. And we're going to go see if we have any collision for camera. As you can see here, there's nothing down there. So you're kind of wondering, oh, what we can do to fix that clipping, because I already said to ignore camera, but it's still doing it. So what you can do to fix that issue, we can go to collision under the camera boom or your spring arm, depending on how you like to call it. and we're going to the camera here, not the camera, but the collision. So we can even search for collision. And as you can see here, camera collision, we have different setting here, and we have here do collision test. So if we put our cursor over it, it's going to tell that if it's checked, it's mean that the channel that we use, it's going to prevent clipping through the level. It's why we have that issue. So the camera is clipping through those cubes, and we want to avoid that issue. Obviously, if you had a third-person character game and you're close from a wall and you deactivate that, you're gonna have an issue because you're gonna clip through the wall, and you not clip, but you're gonna be on the other side of the wall and you won't be able to see your game. So usually, if you have a third-person character, you will leave that option on. However, we have a top-down shooter, which where camera is from the sky and looking down. So technically, we don't have that issue regardless. So what we can do to fix that little collision issue, we can just uncheck this, as we don't need any collision tests for the camera itself. And if we do play, now you can see that if I go through, not through, but next to the cube, there is no more clipping because we did ignore the collision. So as you can see now, we have fixed our issue for the projectile in the previous video, and now we're fixing our camera. So on this, I will catch you on the next one. Hey, welcome back everyone. So another little issue that we're gonna fix is when we shoot the enemy, and if we're too close from the enemy, it's doing no damage. So the bullet is spawning further ahead, so in front of us, but too far ahead, which means that we're shooting on the other side of the enemy. So I'm gonna show you that issue. So pick up the gun. So I have the gun here, and if the enemy is close, you can see that I can't shoot the enemy because it's spawning on the other side. So we're gonna fix that issue. Quite simple as well. We're going to go to our weapon component. Okay, when we're on the weapon component, we have the projectile spawn logic here, and we have all the code that we did modify a little bit at the beginning of this series. Here, the projectile offset, we have the offset of 100. So it's mean that the projectile is spawning 100 unit in front of our player character, which is causing the issue because the cube is around a little bit shorter than 100 our enemy. So it's spawning on the other side of the enemy. So we're going to fix that issue. So we're going to take the 100 and we're going to change that for 10. Now the bullet will only spawn 10 units in front of the character. So when we shoot, you can see that now the bullet is way closer. Instead of spawning around here where my cursor is, now it's spawning right here. So if we go close to the enemy, you can see that now by being very, very close, I can still shoot them without any problem. So it was quite simple, a little fix, but we're all set now. So I will catch you on the next one. Hey, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to fix another little issue that is when we reach wave number 5, it's not going to the next level. We don't see our wind condition showing up on the screen, and there's nothing happening. So we're going to fix that. So first I'm going to show you what is the issue. I will probably just fast forward through that because I'm just going to play until I reach level 5 just to show you what is happening. So now, as you can see, at wave 5, 0 enemy, there's nothing happening. We don't see the wind condition here saying 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and jumping to the next level. So we're going to fix that issue. It's quite simple. So we're going to go to our GM wave base. Okay. So we have our wave base here. So if we go down, we have our wave increment. So when we start, we're at wave 0 and the max wave is 5. And when usually we reach those two are the same number, so wave 5, it should trigger the wind condition. However, the problem that we have is down below. So we're going to go down to where we spawn our enemy. And the issue is right here. The current wave is 0. So when it reach wave 5, it's mean that it's true, but nothing is happening here. Because as I said previously, we could use that to spawn a boss or a stronger enemy or anything else. However, when it's read wave 5, it's going through that code and nothing happened. Okay, so it means it's not spawning enemies for us and there's nothing happening. So to fix that issue, instead of putting equal to wave 5, we're going to put equal to wave 6. So we're going to go through our normal 5 wave, and after that, the wave 6 is the boss or the strong enemy. Okay, because we had 5, it's not going through the code, but our condition up there, it's mean that when the current wave is equal to the total wave, which was 5, it should trigger the win condition. However, we could not trigger it because it was going to true. We could not spawn the enemy and it was causing some issue. So we're going to put number 6 here for our current wave. And now, technically, if we do compile, we will have no issue. So we're going to compile here, and then you're going to see that it should work. So I'm going to go through the game again just to show you. And now it should work perfectly. As you can see, now we complete the wave 5 and we go to the next level. As we don't have a next level, is going to new game. Okay, so I just wanted to fix that little issue as well. So I will catch you on the next one. Hey, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to work on our GM based system, and we're going to create a new map so we can change and go to the next level. When we're finished all our wave in map number 1, we're going to be able to automatically load in map number 2. So first, we're going to go in map number 1. We can see we're in map number 1 because it's right here on the top. As you can see here, I already put a text here. So we could even take that text and put that to the floor if we wanted to. But anyway, you put it wherever you want. So I just put it on the wall here. So first, in the place actor, you just search for text, and you can take the text render actor, put it there, and you can move it with space. You just click all the time and you can move it, turn it around, and when you're ready to write something, you have your text selected, you go to detail, and under text here you can put what you want, and as you can see here, it's right there. So when that is done, I'm going to remove this one because I don't need it because it's already there. We're going to save. So now we're going to duplicate this map, and we're going to call that map number 2. So same thing, it's already done for me, but just follow along. I'm just redoing everything for you. So I'm going to just press on P to remove the green on the floor here. So to duplicate map number 1, very, very easy. We're going to go on File, and we're going to do Save Current Level As. We're going to go under Core, and we're going to make sure that we're selecting our level, and we're going to call that map number 2, as you can see here, and just do save. Okay, so here, now that we have map number 1 and map number 2, we're going to load map number 2 and just change the text here. So load in map number 2, you select your text, you go to the detail here, and you put map number 2, and you can now go on File, and you can do Save All. Okay, so map number 2. In map number 2, we're going to go to the world setting, and it's here that we have to change our GM wave base child for map number 2. Me, it's already there, but I'm going to show you how to do that. So first, we're going to go to our game mode, and on game mode, we have our wave based system that we have all our logic to it. Okay, so we want to create a child of this one as we already did for map number 1 back in the day. So we're going to click on it, and we're going to create child blueprint class. Okay, and when it's created, we're going to make sure that we call it for map number 2. So for me, it's GM wave base child map 2, and I have one for map 1. Okay, so we're all set for that. So when that is created, now we can take the game override and select our map number 2. Okay, on the default spawn, the default pound, we want our player. So we make sure that we select our default path as our player. So we have it different here. The one we have been using since the beginning is player. So it's right there, and anything else shall remain the same. So we're gonna go on file and save all. So now we have map number 2 with all the setting ready to play. So if we were playing now and we were going there, we will have access to map number 2. And now me have the enemy, you won't have it, but I'm gonna show you how to fix that. So we're gonna go to our GM wave base child map number 1. I'm gonna double click. When we open the child blueprint, it's looked like this. So we have access to all the variables that we have in the current wave base that we have here. So all those variables here on the side, that if I expand, all those one are right here as well in the map number 1, as you can see here. Okay, so as win condition for our reference, we're going to make sure that we use our win condition. As player HUD, we're going to make sure that we use our player HUD. And if we go down here, we have next level. So it's here that we're going to put the map for the next level. So it's map number 2. So map number 2. So why it's doing this? It's, remember, at the wave-based system here, when we go to the next level, I'm going to go and zoom to the next level here. So when we trigger the win condition, it's creating the widget blueprint, not the region blueprint, but the win condition widget. And after creating it and display it to the screen, it's doing the timer so we can go to the next level. And we had next level here with none in it. So when we go back to our child, we have to just name it what we want. So we could also change AI enemy base to, for an example, here we could select another enemy if we had another one for now, but we don't. So we're going to leave the base one, but technically you could select another enemy. So if you have a different layout for your map, you could change the location of where the enemy are spawning. Okay. And you could also change the current wave and the max wave that you will like to change those settings. Instead of max wave 5, you could put 10 or things like this. You can even select a music for your level. So you do that here, and you have all the other settings that you can modify and have fun with it. Okay. So we're not going to play in all that. We just want to make sure it's just working for now. So we're going to go in the map number 2. And now we have our wave base 2. That's perfect. We're going to go back in map 1. Just make sure that we have map 1 here and we have map 1 here. So map 1 here and right here in the detail panel for our wall setting. So we all set for that. So technically now our wave system base child map 1 is already set up. We're going to go back. So we have our condition and it should automatically load map number 2. Okay. If we were opening the game mode number 2, so this one here, okay, same thing. We have access to all the variable as well in this one here. It's on the side here. Okay, so they're all there. So we select here and you can see it's just another way to see the layout. For example, if you would have clicked here, it would have opened it like this, and all the same setting or just on the side here instead. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this way of looking at it, or this way of looking at it. It's the same thing. It's just a different way to see it. Okay, I didn't want you to get confused if you had one or the other. Now you've seen both, so you know exactly where to find your information. Okay. As you can see, it's the child map 2 here. We have nothing selected. Okay, so we could obviously select our win condition, our player HUD, and for the next map could be map number 3, but we don't have a map number 3, so we don't put anything here for now. We're going to compile. So now we're going to test all that. So first, I'm going to play to map number 1. I'm going to fast forward, and we're going to be in map number 2. If there's any error, we're just going to fix that at the same time. So we're just going to do play. So now I should change to map number 2. Take our gun. There's no enemy because we didn't set up any enemy. Oh, actually, there's one. We're on map number 2. As you can see, loading our map worked perfectly. And if we quit, there's no error. There's nothing. Everything should work perfectly. So on this, we'll catch you on the next one. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Today, we're just going to create a new AI to be able to add that AI to our map number 2. Okay, so same thing as we did with the map. It's going to be very, very similar. So we're going to go to our enemy. We have our enemy base. We're going to right click on it and we're going to create a child blueprint for this enemy. So we're going to call that, leave the same name and just put map 2. So we have AI base child map 2. So we know that's our enemy. So we can click on it and go to our static mesh, for an example, and just change the color. I'm going to put that kind of greenish yellow color, and I'm gonna save and compile. So now our enemy is this. So now we want our enemy to maybe be a little bit stronger, maybe. So we're gonna select our AI base here, and let's see if we can change some setting for it. So we have our base enemy damage 5 health. Let's put his health to 20. And we're going to compile and save. And we're not going to change anything else. We're going to keep the same just to see if it's working. And if it's working, we can come back, play in the setting, and do different things with our AI. Okay. So we have our base that we use in map number 1, and we have our enemy that we use in map number 2. Okay. So first, what we're going to do is I'm just going to close all the top here so we don't get confused. And we're going to go on our GM base for our map 2. We're going to go to game mode. We have our child map 2. So it's exactly the one we want. We're going to open it. Now we have already what we set up. And here in the enemy class, we're going to change that and select our AI. But this time I'm going to take the one for map 2. Okay. And now we have it. We're going to compile. That's the only thing we have to do instead of we're doing all the code. Remember, we did a base, create some variables. Now we just create things and we can just change very quickly without having any headache. So that's really lovely. So I do like that system. A little bit more complicated to do from the start, but at the end of the day, it saves you a lot of time. So we're going to go and map 1, and now we're going to load map 2. So we're going to go on level, load map 2. We have map 2 here. We have map 2 in the top corner here. So we're all set. So we're going to play that level, and now our enemy should be yellow. So we play. Now we have a red enemy here, and we have a yellow enemy here. So we have 2 different enemies, and you can see that the red, 1 shot, and this one take 4 shots to kill, or 3 or 4, I didn't see it. But you can see that we have 2 different enemies spawning. So we're going to fix that issue. So very simple to fix as well. We're going to go back to our game mode, and we're going to go back to our base enemy. And I know exactly where the issue is right here. We have 2 different variable, enemy class and enemies class. Okay. So what we're going to do, instead of having this one here, that we use the base one, and this one, when we click on it, we use a base one as well. So we're just going to remove this one, delete it completely. We're going to go to our enemy here. We have our actor enemy class, and you can see there's one here and there's one here. So we're going to remove all that. Okay. And remove this one as well. So now we only have one. We're going to select the good one that we have here, and we're going to copy and plug it right there. So now we have the same. We're going to compile. Now we're going to go back to our map wave 2, and we're confirming that our enemy class is the same. So now we should just have one enemy, and should be the yellow one. So we're going to shoot at this enemy. 3 shots to kill the enemy, and now we only have yellow enemy. There you go. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. So if you have other maps and things like this, you're free to do so. So you go on level, you know, and you go save all, and you change your level by save as. Game mode, same thing. You go on game mode wave base, you create a child, and you modify your information that you see here as you want. Same thing for the enemy. You go to enemy, you duplicate always from the base one, create child, and you name it for, in my case, map 2, map 3, map 4, and so on and so forth. And you can have as many enemy that you want. Okay, so it's a way to create different enemy very quickly, because we did enemy base that have everything we need, and all those variables can be modified from a child, which is very convenient. So we don't have to copy paste all that to a new enemy all the time and always go in each enemy and changing everything. Now we can select that very quickly. So if we do any change in the base enemy wave system, the base one, it's going to reflect, those changes will be reflected automatically to all our child that we're using right now. So you can see how it can save a lot of time. So on this, we're able to have a map number 2 and spawning different enemy in it. So on this, I will catch you on the next one.